Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Be More. This is the show or segment where we talk about being wiser, smarter, better, just all the with your video live stream and content. And we have a guest again today. But of course, you know who this guest is, but maybe you don't. And we'll reveal that right after this.
Close the doors, walk across the corridor. We got something to show you. Media is our repertoire.
Okay, everyone, today we are going to be discussing the thing that is the talk of the year, every year basically. We're talking Coachella, and I needed a partner in crime, or good, not so much crime, but a partner in good to do this with. So I invited the one, the only, Shawana Kennedy of Kennedy Media.
Hello, Dr. Tachi, and hey to y'all. I'm glad to be here, and I like how she said, that partner in we're not crime, partner in good. I love that. Let's get into it.
Okay, partner in good. Well, first of all, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good over here. How about you doing? How you doing over there?
I'm doing well. You can see we're twinning again today. So I am doing quite well. And I wanted to kind of delve into this phenomenon we call Coachella. Now, you may be saying, do you go to Coachella? I do not. I do not fancy being in the middle of the desert in Indio, California to see some acts that I don't necessarily always want to see. But I love Coachella as a cultural phenomenon. I'm a pop culture aficionado, and I do watch Coachella every year on YouTube. So I don't have to go to the desert because I have it for free on YouTube. This past weekend was the first weekend of Coachella, and the weekend we're going into will be the second weekend of Coachella. And lots of stuff has been going on. But before we get there, do you watch Coachella? I know you know what it is, but do you watch it?
I do. It's a lot going on, but no, I'm not glued to it all the hours of the performances and all of the things. I mean, yeah, it has its place, but I'm like you. I love people. I love you guys. I love you. But that many people, it kind of does something to me, even though I'm put me on a stage, but I'm one of those people when I go behind, I need to decompress. So being around that many people,
I'm sure, and porta potties, and I'm sure the whole place smells like Sprouts. So I'm not trying to be around Sprouts 24 hours a day for the love them as I do. I don't want to smell them. So, and the showers are long at Coachella. So, people are like, we'll do it later. Do it now. But in any case, so I do enjoy watching Coachella. I've been a little bit disappointed with the lineup this year. I really like to watch Coachella, not just for the people I know, but for the people I don't know, because that's how you can discover some new music. I remember when I first started watching years ago. In fact, the first year they did it, I started watching, and I discovered so much cool new music that way because of that. But I don't know, this year I'm like, there's some great ones. Don't get me wrong, but compared to past years, for me, it's not doing it. But I didn't come on to talk about what's happening with Coachella, the festival itself and the performers per se. I came on, of course, and we came on to talk about how you can relate lessons from Coachella to your videos, live streams, content, etc. So there are a couple of things that struck me. If you watch YouTube, which you all know I do, lots of people are talking about the influencers there and the content creators that are there. Some people are like, oh, they ruined it. But I'm like, but they've always been there. Let's be clear and real, maybe just not as pervasive. But one thing that has really happened in recent years there are more brands that have become involved with Coachella. So going from just a festival that was smaller and mostly featured rock, they have now grown to include all genres of music, or lots of different genres of music, and brands. So brands do things like brand trips. And what they do is they invite influencers, right? To kind of, this is free advertising for them in a sense, because what they spend on bringing people to Coachella would be nowhere what they needed to spend on a big ad campaign. So you've got this basically this user generated content that it is brilliant marketing, if you ask me. But what has been happening, and a lot of creators are talking about this on YouTube, is that there have been creators who have been begging brands to bring them to Coachella. Like, oh my God, please, I'll do whatever. I will, whatever brand I want. So they are just basically laying themselves out on the table like a roasted pig and say, take me to Coachella. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Geritol. Take me to Coachella. So there's, in a sense, kind of like a lack of discretion in terms of, first of all, if you are an influencer, you ought to be aware of the brand that you are aligning yourself with. I understand it's money, but is all money good money? So that's number one. That's the thing. Number two is that you're begging, but to me, it feels like the very reason you became a content creator or a quote influencer was for the freedom not to have to answer necessarily and beg people. But now here you are with your bigotry, begging people to take you. In my opinion, the freedom also includes the freedom to create your own things. So one of the things we want to talk about is sometimes you have to create things on spec, meaning you put in the work to it, you create your content, you basically foot the bill for it and create content that's so great that other brands, etc., take notice and then want to take you. So instead of not going because, oh, I can't go because no brand is taking me, take the initiative and create your own. Before I let you respond, I will say that I do realize that the cost has become exorbitant to go to Coachella, with tickets for VIP maybe around the $400, $500 mark. I do understand that. And I do know that there were lots of Airbnbs that were doing shady business by you would book months in advance, and knowing that people wanted this because Justin Bieber was also a headliner, they would cancel your booking and then relist it for like 4 or 5 times more. So I do understand that was going on too. Shawana, the floor is yours.
Yeah, the whole thing, when you think about this, you can see it as an opportunity because it's not just about the performance, it's about it being a positioning play. And based on, like she said, whether you're an influencer, whatever brand, you have to see, can you afford the cost? Not always in financially, but is it in physical? Is it in mental? What does that look like? And what are you stepping away from your home, your employer? If you work a 9 to 5 and you're just trying to take advantage of this, is it really worth that for you to take this? I say, if you're going to do it, then you really do have to say, how can I make this an opportunity for the things that I'm thinking about in my now and in my future? So let's get into it, Dr. Tachi.
Absolutely. As you just mentioned, it is the cost of doing business. So for those influencers, or those, not even, let's just say an influencer, content creators, you want to cover an event. In this case, it happens to be Coachella, but there are all sorts of other big events that you might want to cover. Your choice is wait for somebody to find value in you and then you work, or you find the value in yourself and do the work. So you can't go, fine. What can you do? You can't make it to Coachella, right? Or nobody will bring you, and it's expensive. I get that. What could you do that is aligned with that? This is what I would do, right? You could still see if you could go out there and make some content and do some things, or someplace close to there that would not be like right maybe in the midst, but there are other places you might want to do. You might want to do Coachella in Palm Springs. You and some friends go out there, you rent an Airbnb in Palm Springs, and you watch on the big screen Coachella, and you do a Coachella party. You become the official Coachella party in Palm Springs. So you're, in the desert in California, but you're not right there. The other thing is you could do that same thing from anywhere. I would like, all right, Coachella in New York. If you have a nice place that you can do it, do that. Live stream it. Talk with your audience and your people. Like, hey, what did you think of this? Come back or do some specific ones. So you don't have to do every act.
I
but you
got a
could
good
do
one
some.
for you.
Go ahead. I want to hear it.
No, listen, while you're talking, with it being a creative, things was popping in my head. And hey, if you're a person that's even on a smaller budget, instead of Coachella, you could be Coachilling. You could be that person that then come back with a review. And you can even do a talking head, especially if you kind of know what you're talking about a little bit, to give your insight and your feedback for that something that is less expensive. However, it still can keep your followers, your brand in. If you're saying, I really can't, that's not in my budget when we think about cost here. But what can you do to still make something of that moment and use that moment for you and for visibility?
Excellent. Like pretend, for example, you and I are like, all right, we are doing a review of weekend 1 of Coachella. First up is XYZ. And we have our conversation talking about it, put up some clips, and you do that. That costs you nothing, right? And you could watch
and that's
it.
That's why I said co-chilling. Because you're chilling at home.
Exactly. Co-chilling. We are co-chilling.
We are co-chilling.
I love that. Coach, see, trademark that. So anyway, you do your coach, you do your co-chilling, and we have that show, and you do that type of thing. There are so many types of content, as we've just brought up, that you could do, where you could spend a little bit money and do it, or you don't have to spend anything and do it. Either way, you've got your Coachella content. And in fact, with the second way, you could do the first way with his like watch party, or the second way, then brands could actually see, wait, they have a good rapport. They do things together. Let's hire them to do that for XYZ, right? So sometimes you have to put some skin in the game to get recognition if that's what you are trying to do. But the bigotry for begging somebody to take you, you already know I don't do bigotry. And for those of you asking, no, bigotry is not a word. I made it up, but it is one now. So I don't do bigotry. So I'm not going to follow up behind you to do it. And I'm not going to down anyone who feels that that is the only way. But part of the freedom of doing things like this, of doing YouTube, is that you have the freedom to kind of steer the direction you want your content to go. So do it. Put the skin in the game and do that type of thing. To me, it's very simple. And here's the other thing. There were many creators that I saw that put together whole presentations of two brands of why you should bring me in. They have no tickets or anything yet, but these are the people that were begging brands to take them. They put together like whole presentations, whether it was PowerPoint or whatever, of this is why you should take me. I have this, I have this. Couldn't you have put that same effort that you put into the presentation into doing something on your own for that? That's just me though. And I cannot measure everyone with my own ruler. What say you?
Yeah, no, that's true, because all of this, and some people, they still want people to bring them along. They still want that handout. When even if you are saying, hey, pick me, you have to give them something to pick. You have to make yourself undeniable. You have to make yourself, if that's what you like, that's how you roll. You have to make yourself where you are the obvious choice when it comes to these things, right? Even especially because everybody knows that this is something that happens every year. And if you're positioning yourself, or if you're a new influencer and that's an area in which you like, you should already be thinking, how are some ways that I can make sure that I can drum up enough attention so that I can have the sponsors that I would love to pay for me to go to this thing that I know I really want to do? What does that look like for you? These are things, start with the end in mind. If this is the place, this is the thing, what could you be doing now that your future self over in Coachella will thank you for?
100%. And sometimes you're going to have to throw a little bit of money behind. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you may need to do that in terms of getting your content in front of people. You may have to, okay, let me do a few ads, maybe some ads on YouTube or whatever, so that people will actually watch it if you don't have a large following. What is that? The cost of doing business. And that's
it's the long term. It's that long-term reward, because sometimes people want immediate, like a microwave. You want to see results, or you want to see immediate revenue. But for some of the things that we do, we'll see it on the back end. You may not see it right out front, and it will cost you something. It is a cost to fame. It's a cost to being seen. It's a cost to being heard. It's a cost to, if you're saying, I want to scale, I want to do these things, it comes at a cost. And that's why you have to really be honest, have those honest conversations and saying, can I handle what this costs? And that's all overall, everything. That's the totality, mentally, physically, financially, the things even with your family. If you have a family, if you have a 9 to 5, you have to count up everything, because it could cost you everything.
Right. So there are different costs to doing business. So looking at the cost of this, we talked about yesterday the whole thing of the Super Bowl. When you are invited to perform at the Super Bowl, you brought this up, you do not get paid, right? But you absorb that cost because of the opportunity. The same thing with Coachella. Now, it's not that they don't necessarily get paid. I don't think everyone, obviously Justin Bieber, apparently the report was that he made 10 million from this, but out of the money that Coachella gives you, and everybody doesn't get that 10 million now, so if everybody gets paid, they pay for fees. So out of what they give you, you are responsible for your production. So that means you need production people, you need sets, you need costumes, that comes out of that.
You have to consider though too, if something is coming up, whether you have to pay 5, 10, 20 grand, but if on that back end, when you mentioned Super Bowl, because we had that conversation, it's thinking for me, I know, for example, what is it? His name, Bad Bunny. I really didn't know the guy before that, but however, I had to respect what he did. He took the opportunity. A whole bunch of things happened in that. And even with Bruno Mars, music go up. You get views from people who never knew who you were. What happens with the right exposure when you say, okay, this did cost me a little something to get in the door. However, with the exposure, then you sell out. Beyonce did the very same thing. What did she do? She dropped her one of her latest albums or singles or whatever she did, but however she did it, it was so strategic. You have got to be strategic when you're thinking about these things, because even if they didn't pay you, because you're not a Beyonce, sorry to tell you, however, you're saying, I'm using this platform to set me up for what's tomorrow. In that case, she dropped music and it sold out, right? And with Bad Bunny, the same thing. People who had no clue, you can definitely know that they did the walking and binged watch all of his stuff to say, who is this fella? What is he doing? Why is he here? So that takes up traffic in every area. And we have to be ready for that. We talked about that before, about infrastructure and systems and everything being in place, because again, your website could blow up if you are not prepared for this new attention, this new exposure. But some of that exposure does come at a cost. And honestly, for some people, it could come at a really great cost, a good feeling, because you have more people who didn't know about you. And now they want to know and want more of you.
Exactly. Well, I knew Bad Bunny because this is Bad Bunny Central where I live. So you have no choice but to really know the people that are well beloved here. But you bring up so many great points when it comes to this. You have to be prepared to put some skin in the game. And we talked about this, I think, our last conversation. You really have to be prepared to put some skin in the game, because sometimes when people see you are willing to do that, they're more willing to support you for whatever else that you're doing. So just think about that. All of this is really one of the many costs of doing business. And sometimes you just have to go for it. And it's not always a no, because money is not involved. Now, don't let yourself be taken advantage of. Don't get got. But at the same time, some of these opportunities, this is where discernment comes in. Be discerning and educated about things enough to know when something could be used as an opportunity to launch something else. This is what I think, we take away from this whole thing. One of the takeaways from this whole thing with Coachella, for a lot of the artists, it's not going to, may not even pay their ride home. It's not going to really pay for everything. It's just covering fees or whatever. But, and who is the, why can't I think about the rapper, the woman rapper? You know who I'm talking about.
Cardi
B. Yes. So Cardi B, when she actually did Coachella, her production was so elaborate that she ended up losing money. But did she lose? So you may have lost money, but did you actually lose? Well, look where she is now.
Hello.
And Coachella is that performance at Coachella is one of the things. Remember, it's about exposure to artists. Now, she was already bigger at this point, had a slot on a reality television show before that. So she has a little more than like an independent artist, but at the same time, she wasn't the Cardi of now.
Mm-hmm.
So she used that as a platform to get to the Cardi B now. And I think that's a lesson we can take from this.
Yeah, no, I love it because we have to think about, it's like addition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it can multiply, it can divide, right? It can take away some things, but it also can add. So just remember that with some people, they go to Coachella to perform, but they also can go to Coachella to realize why they really weren't ready. Just don't let that be you when we talk about your video and live stream. We do, and people look for the attention, and you want your brand out there. You want people to, use your products, your services, and all of the things. But when you are found, you need to be found ready. You need to be found with what the people really need, what they want, and even what they're asking for. And yes, there is a cost of doing business. And part of that cost, no, we're not on a Coachella stage. However, you may need to pay someone to help you get your back end together. You may need someone to help you work on that website design. That's the cost.
That's the cost. And the thing is, as we look to be better and wiser and smarter with our production when it comes to video, live stream, and content, sometimes it requires that you go beyond the free. Sometimes it requires that you put a little bit of investment in things to get. So if you are looking and you don't seem to be moving to something greater, you have to ask yourself, well, am I giving something greater? Am I putting in all that I could put in, or am I advancing so that audiences can see? Oh, because believe me, audiences notice, oh, you got a new camera. Look at this. I remember the other day. So D Nice, we all know the DJ D Nice. He's been going live, of course, since the pandemic. So this is like 6 years of doing Club Quarantine. Well, now in year 6, he has a pretty good setup, but he was using his phone. So here's the thing. He now uses his Leica camera. And people are like, oh my gosh, this looks like a movie, because he up-leveled what he was doing. He already had an audience, but he respects and cares about the audience enough to provide a great experience. So he up-leveled he already had the camera because he's a photographer, but he up-leveled by connecting it so that he could stream to 2 platforms, and we would see this in great splendor. Are you doing this? This is what you have to ask yourself. Are you investing in equipment, in knowledge, whatever else that will take your content to the next level? And sometimes you have to do that, just like with a Coachella, just like with the Super Bowl, because the payoff will be greater on the other side.
Yeah, people think about the cost, but then you have to make sure that you're willing to invest. And even I've heard it before too. And I said, that's the truth about investing into the level in which you want somebody to invest in you. Because one of the questions is, am I getting paid? But it's like, you want it to be able to pay you back. All of that stuff, because I know from experience and the things that I've had to invest in order for me to grow and to really do some scaling. When I look back, have that look back moment, it cost something. It really did cost something, besides late nights and early days and even some missed things with family. To when you're saying, I want to do this as a business, I want to do this as, even if it's temporary, it's still going to cost you something. But if you know that what you are called to do, and you believe that this is something that you're called to do, then you have to be okay to say, I know I'm going to lose some sleep. I already know that. For some people, they may gain some weight, they may lose some weight. But if you know at the end of it, remember, you have to think about the end in mind. if that thing is greater, that's why we've heard people talk about all the time our why, because that why is what will keep you up. That why is what will make you keep going when you want to quit. That why will be always that anchor, I believe, depending on how serious, because I tell people all the time that I had to become what I needed in my business. And now God affords me to be able to do the same thing for people when I can see that that's what they need. And is that you? Is that something that you're thinking about with the service that you offer, or even the people that you do business with, the people that you pay to help you look as marvelous as you do? We have to be grateful, and these are the things that we need to think about. Otherwise, it's just a hobby.
Otherwise, it's just a hobby. Wow. Well, let's review what we talked about today. We talked about a lot of things. Obviously, we gave the fine points, or the overview, I should say, of this year's Coachella. But the bigger thing is that lots of creators were begging to go. And my thing is, stop with the bigotry. Let's create our own opportunities, because when you do that, people are always watching. And that body of work that you created, it's the same thing when of people begging for opportunities at the networks, on cable television, in traditional Hollywood. You go to them with an idea, they can't visualize it. But you have an entire body of work that you've already been producing that has gained wings on someplace like YouTube. They come knocking for you. So think about that same thing with your content in terms of covering these events or attending these events like Coachella. Number two, there is a cost to doing business. Are you prepared to pay the cost to do that? Sometimes you're going to have to do things on spec, as we say. You're going to have to do things that are for free, which may not pay you initially, but down the road will end up paying you. And you'll be able to leverage that. We talked about the fact of, I love the Coachella, right? Or Coachella, which you could call it, right? I love that Coachella or Coachella idea. You could do something that is a destination event, like getting close to Coachella without actually being there, and doing a watch party with people in a house. You could also do a talking head type thing, or even a podcast where you're reviewing it. You could do, and I just came up with an idea, the best of Coachella, and do your own awards. Have the people on there dress up, and you do your own Coachella awards or whatever it is, and you award the best of, for different categories, right? So there's so many things you can do that don't involve begging a brand to bring you there. And if they're not going to bring you, you bring you. So final thought, Shawana?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful as always. And thinking about it too, visibility without a follow-up strategy will wind up being just expensive attention. So you have to make sure that you are ready, because when the lights come on, you want to give people something to see, because people are waiting. And whether you realize it or not, they're watching you long before they ever choose to do business. With who? With you.
And speaking of visibility, can you share your contact information with people? Make yourself visible.
Well, thank you, Dr. Tachi. Thank you once again. I am Shawana Kennedy with KennedyMediaLLC.com, KennedyMediaLLC.com, where I am blessed and fortunate enough to work with business owners, entrepreneurs just like you, leaders who want, and they are ready to expand their visibility to be seen, paid, heard, and known for their brilliance. What that looks like is online visibility, whether you're recording courses, online podcasts, all of those things, but because you know that you have a message that needs to get to the masses. So I'm fortunate enough to do those things and some more. But thank you, Dr. Tachi. This was a great, great, great episode.
I think it was too. And I love everything we do. I just have to say that. If we don't love it, who else will?
And you just, now see, that's another something too. I tell people, when you hear me speaking, and I know she was about to wrap up, y'all, but when you are speaking, you have to really believe what you're saying, because people really know that. I'm telling you, people that's been around the block for a minute, when you blowing smoke, they can see that smoke from a mile away. And that's why I say I am crazy enough to believe what come out of my mouth.
You have to, because maybe nobody else does. But as long as you believe, this is how we've been able to talk ourselves into many rooms and many things, because we believe in ourselves. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of belief in yourself, because, you know, we believe in you. So with that said, I'm hoping all of this is going to help you to be more with your video, live streams, and content. And if you are going to Coachella for the second weekend or watching, enjoy. Cheers.
We always here for you. You were when you were emotionally broke.